What is going on YouTube? I am Lamont at large. Today we're in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and today we're going to be visiting the grave of Konerak Sinthasomphone. He is the 14-year-old kid who was brutally raped and murdered by Jefferey Dahmer. He did escape his lair of terror, but he was brought back and led to his death by two bungling, idiot former Milwaukee Police Department officers. I'm going to tell you the story really quickly. Let's get right into it. We're going to go back to May 27th of 1991. It's after midnight here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. There's two girls out on the street outside of their apartment. 17-year-old Nicole Childress and 18-year-old Sandra Smith. So they're just talking to each other when they hear somebody yelling and screaming. They turn to look down the street, and there appears to be a young kid running on this very street where I'm walking on right now, running nude. When he approaches them, he collapses at their feet. He is bleeding from his ass and has multiple cuts all over his body. So immediately, they did what anybody else would do in that situation. You called 911. They called 911. And as they're waiting for the cops, a younger white male by the name of Jefferey Dahmer is calmly walking after him, saying like, "Oh, hey guys, that's my boyfriend. You got it all wrong. Yeah, we just had an argument. Jim acts crazy sometimes when he drinks too much." And they're looking at this guy, and they're like, "No, well, we already called the cops, so, you could tell that to them." So he's like, no, that's my boyfriend, Sam. He just, when he drinks too much, he just gets crazy. And one of the girls said, "Wait, I thought she said his name was Jim." And he's like, maybe it's Larry. I don't know. I'm drunk myself. So while they're all figuring this out, a couple of bungling idiot police officers, 34-year-old John Balsterzak and 28-year-old Joseph Gabrish, they come to the scene right where I'm standing right now. Across the street is where Jeffrey Dahmer's apartment used to be. So they say, "What's the problem?" And Jeffrey's like, "That's my boyfriend, Tim, and he's really drunk." And they say, "Why is he bleeding from his anus?" And he says, "Well, you know why. We're getting hot and heavy in the apartment over here." Now, immediately, you would think a couple of police officers that are seeing somebody that is obviously has been assaulted, because you do got cuts all over your body, you would think they would immediately put Jeffrey Dahmer in handcuffs. But that's not what they did. He says, "Look, everything's fine. As a matter of fact, you can come to my apartment. Everything's cool." So all four of them, the two bungling idiot police officers, Konerak and Jeffrey, they somehow all go back to his apartment. When they step inside the apartment, they look around. It smells a little funny. Some people's apartments do. But they didn't notice anything unusual. They didn't notice the skulls. They didn't notice the human heads. If they would have looked around a little bit, they could have seen a few penises in the fridge. Maybe all the pictures of all the dismembered body parts that Jeffrey Dahmer has collected through all the years of his murdering. But they didn't notice none of that. And as Konerak is probably screaming and crying, these cops, they don't want to deal with it because they're like, it's a couple of gay guys, we don't want no part of it. So they're like, "Yeah, well, we're going to get out of here, so you guys, you love birds, have fun." So the cops, they come back downstairs, they get in their car, and they leave, and they radio it in. They're like, a couple of homosexuals fighting with each other. Who cares? Little did those cops know that Konerak Sinthasomphone would be dead within a mere few hours. Those cops led that boy to his death. Right across the street, right there. A couple days later, one of the mothers of the two girls who had seen Konerak running towards them that night, a woman by the name of Glenda Cleveland, was watching the news when she seen a picture of somebody that she recognized as that young kid that was running down the street naked and bleeding that night, one Konerak Sinthasomphone. Now, she calls the police and she says, hey, I called the police a couple days ago, and this missing kid all over the news here in Milwaukee, I think that's the kid that I seen. And the police, according to her, kind of just shined her off. And she even tried to call the FBI field office in Milwaukee to no avail. And you're going to fast forward some months later, and everything would only come to the light after Tracy Edwards, who would have been one of Dahmer's latest victims, was able to escape, able to call the police, get them to go to his house, which is where they discovered, Jeffrey Dahmer's house of horrors. And then that is where they also discovered Konerak's mutilated corpse. Just a very tragic story of, if the cops would have, believed him or believed the girls that something was wrong, that this guy was on drugs, that he didn't know, that, Dahmer had lured him into his home to take nude pictures of him in exchange for money. If they had known that he drugged them and he was incoherent and he wasn't in his own, right mind, the police could have saved Matt Turner, Oliver Lacey, Jeremiah Weinberger, and Joseph Bradoff. Those officers could have saved 4 of those men's lives, because those are the men that he murdered after murdering Konerak. And this is his final resting place right here. Very horrible. And come to find out, Jeffrey Dahmer had been convicted of sexually assaulting Konerak's older brother, Samsak, a couple of years previous. He also lured him to his home. He would give him money in exchange for just taking nude pictures of him. Samsak escaped, and Jeffrey Dahmer was actually supposed to do about 8 to 10 years in prison for attacking his older brother, but for some unknown reason, he got out in about a year. Now, I don't know if Jeffrey Dahmer knew that Konerak was the younger brother of other kid that he previously assaulted. I have no idea. They're saying online that Dahmer didn't know that it was a small world, but I don't know. So rest in peace to Konerak Sinthasomphone. And in case you guys are wondering what happened to the two cops, the two bungling idiots that, led Konerak back into what would be his demise, well, they were later on fired from the police department. However, they were reinstated sometime later. It looked like Joseph Gaberish, he actually just left, after being reinstated, Joseph Gaberish left to join another police department. And John Bosterzak, not only did he get reinstated, but he was also the Milwaukee Police Association's president from 2005 to 2009. And then he finally retired, and I think he might own some kind of a pub or a bar in the area. Oh, maybe I'll stop by and have a drink and ask him what he thinks about what he's done, his inept attitude towards somebody that was in desperate need of help, and he ignored them and was ultimately very responsible and culpable in their death. All right, guys. I'm out of here. Where am I headed? I'm headed south, over there. I will look forward to seeing you on the next vlog. Be good, y'all. Peace out.